Okay, so I would like to try to start something new here on my channel. So I want to try to start up like a little series, a laundry chat series. So a series where I literally take laundry that I need to fold and I sit here with the camera, I turn on the camera and I film about a specific topic while I fold laundry. I hope that makes sense. I find that when I sit down to do Q&As with you guys, I love doing Q&As. I love chatting about different topics, but I find that I have to kind of like condense my answers or like just kind of spitfire because otherwise each video would be like 100,000 hours long. So what I want to do is just tackle like one topic that I've seen you guys like ask me about a lot, or something that I've seen in the comments, or something that just like sparks my interest that week. I don't know. That's kind of like what's going on in my head. That's kind of what I'm thinking for this little series. And then the idea is to try to like keep it, I don't know, like 10 to 20 minutes long, nothing super long, but also like enough time for me to actually fold some laundry. So if you have laundry to fold, this is gonna be your opportunity to like go get a load of laundry, sit down and chat with me. Hopefully I can keep you entertained. But for today's like initial one, what I wanna tackle is the question of like, how has the transition to 3 kids been? Like, how has the transition from 2 to 3 kids been? How has it differed from the transition of like 1 to 2 kids, 0 to 1 kids? We're gonna tackle that today, and hopefully I can answer that for you guys. I sound still super nasally because I have a cold, you guys, so this is like not what my usual voice sounds like, but I do want to just ask that if there's any other topic, like straight off the top of your head right now, that you want me to like tackle in a future video, leave it down below in the comments so that I can read through those, like literally anything. If you want to chat about discipline, or you want to chat about, I don't know, like making friends. I did do a video kind of like this, like about the topic of like sleepovers, like any standalone topic like that you want me to tackle, just leave it in the comments so I can read through that. And then as you're watching this, if anything comes to mind, you can just stop and leave the question or whatever the topic in the comments. So going from 2 to 3 kids, if by any chance you just stumbled upon this random video and you have no idea who I am, hello, I'm Kayla and I have 3 kids now. My youngest son is now 10 months old. Can you believe that? He is 10 months old, almost a year old. So now I feel like is a good time for me to really like try to put my thoughts together on how the transition has been. I was thinking about this, and like there's really no one simple way to answer the question of like, has it been difficult? Like obviously it's been difficult. I have 3 kids now. It is difficult. Like having 1 child is difficult. But I found this transition from 2 to 3 kids to probably be the easiest in some respects, and then in the same breath, the hardest in some respects. So it's not a simple question to answer. I'm gonna tell you that I feel like it was easiest for me mentally. This was the easiest like mental transition that I have had. I guess it comes along with like the territory of like, now that I had already had 2 previous kids, I was a lot more confident in my parenting skills, or like my ability to keep a human alive. Like I was much more confident in like, I don't know, like reading my baby's hunger cues and like knowing that I need to feed him and not stressing if he didn't have a perfect feed. I just felt like I was much more confident, less stressed out about like having a schedule or routine. Like I knew what to do. I didn't know everything, but I had much more just peace in knowing that it was gonna be okay. And I guess like a lot of times, like as a first-time mom, even like as a second-time mom sometimes, because then like you start forgetting all the things, but you kind of like, you don't know anything. Like going from 0 to 1 kid is the biggest, just like, what the heck just happened to me? Like it is just insane because you're going through so much and there's so much that you don't know, that you've never done before, that now you have to figure out. So 0 to 1 is definitely hard. Your whole life changes in that instant. So going from 2 to 3, I felt like it was pretty easy on me mentally. I was in a much better mental health space just in general. I did also have a lot of help because Joe had 3 months paternity leave, so I'm not gonna like pretend that I didn't have any help. I did have some help from him. Obviously, like he wasn't getting up with Sean in the middle of the night because I was the one nursing him, but I did have help with the other kids for a few months. So that was really helpful, really nice. But I would say that I was much more relaxed, and I really enjoyed that this time around because the big kids too, like since they were older and like we had to get them started with their homeschool co-op, like going out, going to activities, making friends, I was kind of forced to just like do it. Like I was kind of just forced to take Sean along. I was taking Sean to their homeschool co-op when Sean was 6 weeks old. We were getting out of the house. We were going on outings. Like, that was unheard of for me with the other two kids. With the other two kids, like, I never went like hardly anywhere. I was very much like that paranoid mother, especially with Riley, my first kid. Like, I didn't want to go anywhere for the first 2 months because she didn't have any vaccines. Like, I was just in my house all the time. And you guys know that that was kind of the case too when I was in Virginia and I had Jackson. We hardly ever left the house for a very long time. So this time around, it kind of like the circumstances like just forced me to have to get out of the house more. And I felt like every time that I did it, it just gave me more and more confidence. So that is definitely something that was a blessing, going from 2 to 3 kids, just being able to do it, or like having the belief in myself, the confidence in myself that I could do it. Obviously, I lied. Like, I heavily leaned into like the Lord. I've been in a much better place in terms of my faith, and that helped me a ton. Like, that sounds silly, but like the number one verse that I would recite to myself over and over again, which I still do to this day, like the I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, like that's on loop in my brain 24/7, because at 3 in the morning when Sean still wakes up, like I get out of bed and I'm like, not by my strength, because I can't do this, so Lord help me. That's kind of where I feel like things were better this time around. I was just more relaxed. I felt like I was much more chill about like the baby stage, less like rigid, less like, oh, I have to track all the things and what do I do? Much more go with the flow with this baby. But what I will say that was hard about the transition is like everything that had to do with like, you know, like the physical reality of having 3 children. It was hard. It was hard on my body physically because I'm older and now I'm super tired because I have another child. That was harder like on my body. I felt it more. I did have a really good postpartum experience. All in all, like I was getting back to like, I remember like I had Sean, his birthday's August 1st. And my birthday is August 10th. And I had people over my house August 10th to celebrate my birthday. Like, postpartum recovery was really good this time around. But I was still, like, tired. Like, my body was tired. And physically, it is just harder to have 3 kids as opposed to 2 kids. There's more you have to do. There's more, like, laundry that you have to do. There's more people you have to feed. So, like, that kind of thing is what I have found to be the hardest when I talk about like the transition of going from 2 to 3 kids. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Because I'm probably just repeating myself over and over again. When you go from 2 to 3 kids, at least in my experience, like you kind of already know what to do in terms of being a mom. You have this experience under your belt. So it's just like another one. But the reality is like it is another one. So you have a lot more that you have to do. And then the hardest part also of that for us was, I guess, like navigating the routines or like figuring out logistically, like what am I gonna do with the other 2 kids when I have to put Sean down for his nap. That kind of stuff was hard for a bit to figure out. We have a 2-story house. I've shared with you guys here on the vlogs, like when I would come upstairs to put Sean down for his nap, I would be stressed out if the kids were downstairs. So like we ended up putting a camera downstairs to help me with that. That sort of thing was the stuff that I had to really figure out. Another thing that's starting to be really difficult too now is just the logistics of, you know, the kids are playing with their toys and now Sean is putting everything in his mouth. So that sort of thing stresses me out because now I have to really think about my spaces and like what are the kids doing versus what can Sean be allowed to be exposed to. So that is another dynamic that is proving to be hard right now. But other than that, it's been pretty chill. It's been pretty good. Like I said, like I really I've tried my hardest to like keep the big kids. If you're new here, I don't know if I said it, but the big kids are 6 and 4. So I've really tried to keep their day-to-day like as not disturbed by Sean. Like I don't know if I'm even like expressing that correctly, but I never wanted to be like, no, you can't go to that play date because Sean has to nap. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Poor Sean, like he is an angel child. Let me tell you guys, he is such a good baby because I really do take him pretty much anywhere. Like today we went to the Museum of Science and it's downtown Miami. We got there at 10. Our little buddy like did not take his morning nap. And then on the way back home, I think he slept for like, I don't know, like 15 minutes in the car. So his whole nap schedule was thrown off. But it was one of those things where all of the kids' friends were going. So I didn't want to be like, no, sorry, you can't go because that's an inconvenient time for Sean and his naps. I know that he'll be okay. I know that, like, usually whenever we get home from the play dates, he'll take a nice long nap and kind of recoup that nap. But as much stuff as I take him to go do, he really is a trooper. And for the most part, he behaves so well. I usually will bring like my baby carrier. And if he starts to get fussy, I'll stick him in the baby carrier. But he's a good baby. And so I'm very blessed that he has been so chill, because if he wasn't chill, then I'm sure that it would be a lot more difficult. But it is days like today where I don't know, like, this is where I say that it's been easier. Just the fact that I went to a museum and I took 3 children, like, I'm super proud of myself and I feel so accomplished. Anytime that I go anywhere with all 3 of them, I'm like, wow, I can do it. Like, I can do it. And I remember the days when I would be scared to leave the house with 2 kids. So if you're currently, I don't know, if you're currently like thinking about adding another one, I know that it can be super overwhelming to think about. And you're like, how am I gonna put 2 kids in the car? And like, how am I gonna go to the store with 2 kids? Or how am I gonna do it with 3 kids? What's the car seat situation gonna be like? There's all these things that I thought of when I found out that I was pregnant with Sean. And I can tell you that, like, all of those worries, like, yes, there were things that we had to deal with. Like, we had to obviously buy, you know, another car seat, and we had to reconfigure how we put stuff in the car. But nothing has been like, oh wow, like, we can't have a 3rd kid because, like, it doesn't work. Like, we've made it work, and it has worked just fine. And every time that I've, you know, gone on an outing by myself with all of them, or like taken all 3 of them to the doctor all at the same time, I'm like, wow, like, I never would have thought that I could do it, but clearly I can. And it's just like such a confidence booster. It just like makes me feel so happy and so just, I don't know, good about my life, because I never thought that I'd be able to do it. Okay, I'm pretty much done with laundry here, but there's one more thing, or at least, I don't know, at least one more thing that I wanted to mention. The other thing that has been hard about having the 3 kids has been the noise. The noise is really, like, if I have to say, like, there's one thing that's really been hard in the last 10 months, it's the amount of noise in my house. I've been really triggered by overstimulation. I've always been somebody like who gets overstimulated very easily when it comes to noise and just too many things. And so the noise has been really hard because the kids are at an age where they're constantly fighting and bickering, and they're playing and they're fighting. Like, they fight a lot actually here. And then I have them home all the time because I mentioned it earlier, we're a homeschool family. So they are always here and they are always loud. And I love them to the ends of the earth. Like, I love them so much, but there's a lot of noise, and that in and of itself is hard. Then when you add in like Sean screaming and crying because he's like having a bad fussy moment, or he can't get something that he needs, it's really hard. Those are the really hard moments where I'm like, everybody shut up, because like I cannot. So the noise has been a lot, I would say. So that's something that is just, I guess it comes with the territory. Like, even today, like, the other hard part, it seems lately, is anytime that I have to get ready to go out somewhere. Like, so to go today, this morning, to the Frost Museum, to the Science Museum, I had to get all 3 of them dressed and get them out the door. And a lot of times, like, when we're getting out of the door, Sean's running into like when he'd be due for his first nap. So he's particularly fussy, and then I have to hear him screaming because I have to put him down because I have to get ready. And I usually struggle with that because then it just adds to the chaos, and like the mornings just feel chaotic, and the screaming and the screeching is just not my jam. But like I tell anyone who will ever ask me like about going from 2 to 3 kids, or should I go for the 3rd kid, whatever, whenever anyone asks for my input, the way that I explain it is like, everything is more. Everything is more. So you get more of the bad stuff that you hate, and then you also get more of the stuff that you really love. You get more cuddles and more love and more just another person to your family. You get more affection. You get more cute babies to look at. You get that, but then there is more laundry and more mess and more noise and more waking up in the middle of the night. And as much as I wish that we could have more of like the super cute baby that I love, and like family member, and like I love you so much, without the more of the stuff that I don't like it just does not work that way. And then in terms of sleep too, and like waking up, since we're talking about waking up so much, I don't know how much I ever talked about it in the vlogs, but there was a period of time where Sean was waking up in the middle of the night. He still does, but he was waking up in the middle of the night. I would go attend to him, And Jackson, so my 4-year-old, he was having some regressions with his sleep. He had been sleeping just fine. So that's something that maybe, like, I don't know, factor that in, that your other children may have some of those regressions. So that was really brutal. That was probably the worst time in terms of like just my sleep, because I'd be getting up in the middle of the night to like attend to Sean, and then I'd be walking back to my room, and then Jackson would be awake. And then sometimes like they both were crying and they both needed me at the same time. So those nights were particularly hard. But overall, I feel like this adjustment has been very much, I would say that it has been like smoother than I would have expected it to be. I thought for a long time that if you add 3, like you're outnumbered, you don't have 3 hands, like this is just gonna be pure chaos. I have found that like it's very much doable. Since the other 2 are kind of more independent, it's like I have the big kids and I have Sean. So I have to be like in 2 places as opposed to like 3 places. If that makes any sense. This is my brain like at 10 o'clock at night, you guys, I'm very sorry. I kind of group Jackson and Riley together, and then I have Sean. And so it's like 2 groups that I have to deal with. And I've just had to like learn as I go and like figure out like, okay, if I need to get ready, where can I put Sean? Do I bring him into the bathroom with me? Do I put him in his crib and put some toys? Like the logistical challenges like that, like they exist. So like to not consider them would be like wrong. Like those kinds of things you have to think about, but it has brought me so much joy. I feel like my mental health has never been better, as crazy as that sounds, because I do feel like I'm freaking crazy still, but I feel like I'm in a good place. Super happy with the fact that he is here. Super happy that like, I don't know, that we're a family of 5 now. Everybody here adores him. The kids love his face. Like the kids, my constant battle with the kids is honestly that I have to like remind them all the time, like get away from him, you're gonna squish him, you're gonna smother him, you're gonna step on him, you can't pick him up like that. Like they want to be in his face all the time, but they love him so much, and he's just been the biggest blessing. So I hope that maybe gave you some insight into the transition. I know it's kind of all over the place, as all of these chatty videos usually are, and they will be in the future, because it's literally just me word vomiting to you guys about the topic that I'm talking about. But I know that this is something that a lot of you guys ask, and I'm happy that I'm able to just kind of sit down and answer that, so that in the future when somebody asks me, I can just kind of refer them to this video, like go listen to me ramble about it in this video. I did a video a long time ago when I shared about the transition from 1 to 2, and if I'm not mistaken, in that video, I'll try to link it too, in that video I mentioned that for me personally, going from 1 to 2 kids was harder than going from 0 to 1. Now, I know people are split on that. I know that people feel differently about that. I do see and I do recognize that going from 0 to 1 kid is a huge difference. Like your life changes, like I said. When I had Riley, I really was just like, I really liked it. We had our routine. She was just home with me, and I was very adaptable, very flexible. Like I was still able to get a lot done with her alone. Like I would put her in the little bouncer. I would take her into the living room and put the little like cage eventually, like the little thing so she couldn't go outside of the kitchen area. Gate, I think is a better word. I never put my daughter in a cage, but in like the little gate. But it was a very like natural transition for me, and I just felt like I loved it so much. I felt like I was just, you know, made to do that. I loved that time. That time for me was just much simpler and much easier than it is now with 3 kids. But when I went from 1 to 2 kids, I believe like my thought process was like, okay, this is hard because now I have to split myself in 2. Like I was used to just being focused on one child. Like whenever Riley would cry, I'd be able to attend to her. Whenever she needed something, I'd be able to attend to her. If she was hungry, okay, it's time to make you lunch. So it was very like focused on just one child. The minute I had 2, it was like, okay, they both are crying. They both need me. One is hungry and the other one isn't. Like I have to be in 2 places at once all the time, and that was much harder for my brain, I guess. So that's all I've got for you guys right now, because I'm gonna go just like stack this and I'll put it away tomorrow morning. But let me know if you have any like follow-up questions to this. Maybe I can add some insight in the comments, and then any other topics, like I said, that you want to do a chatty laundry chat with me about, let me know in the comments, and we'll see if we can keep these up like maybe once a week. Maybe like I throw in like a little bonus video here. If they're easy for me to like film and then edit, then it's like great for me, and it's easy content that I can get out for you guys. So yeah, that is it. Let me know what you guys thought of this. Let me know if you're feeling it or if you're like, forget it, don't waste your time. But that's it. I love you guys, and thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.